I already did an intro in the first part, so I'm not going to do the whole thing again. In a nutshell, I'm basically just doing a follow-up to some previous baby-related videos I've done in the past. This episode, we're going to wrap up babies breastfeeding and billing with part 3, Did the Hospital Charge You Another Fortune? Yeah, it actually worked out to about the same amount. Now, we thought, since we've been through this once before, links to those videos should be in the description, that we knew about how the whole process was going to play out, but no, those wonderful folks in medical billing threw a couple of new wrinkles into play. Okay, that's not entirely fair. The people working in the medical billing office are not the ones making the policies. They're just stuck working in a frustrating and tragically broken system. Anyway, we were told at the hospital that they could give us an estimate of our total out-of-pocket cost based on our insurance, and if we wanted to pay before we were discharged, they would give us a 20% discount. Well, who doesn't like to hear those words? So we paid. I'm going to start throwing some numbers at you, so excuse me while I refer to my notes. Now, the estimate they gave us was about $3,900, and then after they applied that 20% discount, that means we paid the hospital $3,100 before we left. Now, unfortunately, all they gave us was a receipt, not an itemized invoice, so we really didn't know what services we were paying for, and we should have asked. By now, we had already paid $3,000 up front to our OBGYN for pre- and postnatal care and the actual delivery, and now another $3,100 to the hospital for what we assumed was the total room and board and other assorted charges. Now that's already $6,100, which is about what we paid for the first delivery, maybe a little more, so we assumed that we were all square. It still seemed a little bit too expensive for us, especially since the first delivery took 36 hours and this delivery only took 6, so we were there for a whole day less and used a lot less services and resources, but we just kind of shrugged it off as yet another vagary of our healthcare system. Over the next few weeks and months, a few more small bills came trickling in, which is expected. There's always a few small charges for miscellaneous lab fees and stuff like that. And then the anesthesiologist bill. That was only $480 this time, as compared to $2,100 the first time. But again, since this delivery was so quick, Jessica only needed one epidural and not multiples like the first time. But then we got another bill from the hospital just for our newborn son's room and board and other services to the tune of another $2,100. That would mean that our total out-of-pocket cost for this delivery, a much shorter and easier delivery than the first one, was going to be almost $9,000 as compared to $6,000 for the first one. So obviously something wasn't adding up. Well, it took us some time to actually get around to addressing this issue because, we have lives that do not revolve around talking to medical billers and insurance agents who should be talking to each other and not to us, but we did eventually get it all sorted out. For one thing, sometime after our first son was born, we changed our insurance plan to one that had higher family deductibles as well as individual deductibles, but lower monthly premiums. Why did we do that, you ask? Well, previously we had high monthly premiums and a lower deductible of only $3,000. But despite outward appearances, we're actually really healthy people who rarely go to the doctor, so we never met our $3,000 deductible in a year anyway, except for that time that Jessica was pregnant with Riker. After Riker was born, we figured we may as well lower our monthly payments in exchange for having a $6,000 deductible, because it's not like we were going to meet it anyway. And yeah, it kind of bit us in the ass because Jessica got pregnant again, but the open enrollment period had just ended and it wasn't going to come around again until after Finn was born, so we were kind of stuck with that plan. Otherwise, though, I think it was the right move, just with unfortunate timing. Anyway, as a result, our insurance had covered more of the cost of our first pregnancy because we had actually met the deductible for once. But for the second pregnancy, we still hadn't met the individual and family deductibles, so we had to cover more of the cost ourselves. It sucks, but There it is. The other, bigger problem was that $3,100 payment we had made to the hospital before we left. They told us that was our total out-of-pocket cost, their word. So we assumed that meant everything for Jessica as well as Finn, but no, that was just for Jessica. Finn got billed separately, and they didn't even send that bill out for almost another month, so we had kind of let our guard down, thinking we were done with all the big payments. On that subject, it really is ridiculous to me that hospitals will charge separately for a newborn infant's room and board when they stay in the same room as the mother and don't eat any hospital food. I mean, yes, charge them for services they actually use, like lab work and medications, but $2,000 for room and board? Come on. That's a dirty trick and you know it. At any rate, after many hours on the phone with insurance and the hospital, it turns out that that $3,100 estimate they gave us was based on our insurance, but before they actually, talked to our insurance company about how much they would cover. Because we only should have paid $450 before we left, not $3,100, due to Jessica having already met her individual deductible. So the hospital did issue us a refund check of $2,700. Now Finn, our new baby, being only 2 days old at the time of discharge, had obviously not met his individual deductible for the entire year, so we did actually have to pay that entire $2,100 of his bill. But thankfully that was covered by that $2,700 refund check, so it didn't take anything else out of our pocket. It's just so aggravating that they employ this system of overcharging and then grudgingly issuing you a refund in their own good time. That was a nice little $2,700 interest-free loan they got from us for 5 months. I mean, we could have put that money to better use because it was, ours.
It's my money and I need it now!
It's my money and I need it now!
So in the end, our final rundown ended up being $3,000 for the OB, $450 for my wife's hospital stay, $480 for anesthesia, and $2,100 for my son's hospital stay, for a total of about $6,030, right on par with the last time. And if we still had the same plan with the lower deductibles, we probably would have paid considerably less because insurance would have covered more, but hey. Okay, so that's the story of our latest go-around with America's bloated, inefficient, and rapacious healthcare system. It's never fun, and it's something that people don't want to give a lot of personal details about. But I think it's important that we all share our experiences as well as our dissatisfaction, because otherwise, how is anything going to change? I hope you find this information helpful, because believe it or not, that's actually why I'm putting it out there, not just because I like to hear myself talk.
No, of course not.
As always, hitting those like and subscribe buttons is both simple and affordable, as well as highly appreciated, and I look forward to reading any comments you send my way. As always, thank you for watching. If Finn were awake, I'm sure he would say thank you too, and we'll see you here next time.